This is the book of the book of Isaiah, chapter 32. I'm gonna start at verse 6, and it reads, "For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua." You can look at that as far as like these elites, they pretty much their heart or their mind work of iniquity, sin upon sin. They err against the Lord and make empty the soul of the hungry. Who are the hungry? Who are the poor? Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1 tells you the poor are Israel. The poor and needy of thy people. Who really suffered, during that shutdown with the SNAP benefits? Well, Esau did too, because it's more Edomites on, public assistance than Jake. They tell you that. I mean, people think it's far-fetched, but they show you that that's the whole purpose of the government assistance. It was started for Esau, Edom. It was a video I was going to do about that. It said, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments of the churl, the devices, are evil. Again, them to pretty much control the food in order to control, for them to set up a system where they can control the food, the money, in order to get you to comply. That's wicked. He devised wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speak of right. But the liberal deviseth liberal things. Generous.
You just got a message from Cash App.
Generous, magnanimous, and gratitude, sometimes a tyrant, liberal, noble, prince, willing-hearted. It says, deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. Verse 9, rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. And the careless daughters is, first and foremost, the hopeful elect man of the nation of Israel, the prophets. Now, you got elect women, of course, you got elect children, but, the elect, the bride of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is the prophets. It tells you that, and what's that, Revelation chapter 21? I think it's Proverbs chapter 8 talks about the pasture of my sheep are men, or I don't feel like getting it. But I know it's a few different scriptures. I think Proverbs 8, I think Revelation chapter 21 is another one. I ain't brought it out in a minute. But so that goes for both the men and the women. But, the women are stuck in this mindset. They don't see Babylon the Great going down. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Now, I don't know what this word vintage is in the Hebrew, ba-tasir, but when you go into that word, it's grape or crop. And, pretty much, our economy is, is how a nation grows. You need food to sustain yourself. You need a thriving economy for this place to grow and survive. Well, the vintage is failing because we see in the forecast that these jobs is failing. I believe they said in 2025 they lost over 1.2 million jobs. And the article I came across, this is the third time I'm doing this, by the way. Maybe there's a reason why the Lord keeps stopping it, but it's got to be a reason, right? Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones. And then you got what's that? Zephaniah 1 talks about the men that are settled on their leads. Everybody that's trusting in this place, that think that this shit will continue to go on. You got a lot of people sitting up here talking about, each year they make these New Year's resolutions. Each year they say, "Oh, this might be my year. The Lord gonna give me my, shot." And literally things are decreasing, they're not increasing. This man was able to pull off something that, a lot of countries wouldn't allow him to do. So, yeah, he's going to do something very bold. It says, tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. It's going to be the women that's going to be the most hurt by when they have to give up the goodies of Babylon the Great. Which, men, we can start hell, but a man to go get a bottle, a male go get some kobah. But a woman,
now to the class action.
a woman want to be comfortable in this place, and the comfortability is just going out the window. So I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Elohim La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem HaKodesh, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim, across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat that they're listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, with whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. This brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning he is, he exists, or he to be. By Hashem, by his end, his the Hashem his name. Yahushai meaning he saves, or he deliverer. True names of the Most High God and his Son, whose people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. And it's spiritual because, again, this is like the third time I did this lesson. Now, the first time I did it, I started off with Sirach 39 about the, he meditated occupied, being occupied in prophecy. And it's spiritual because, a lot of people have been speaking on the situation with those individuals that I guess was part of the body, but, it ain't gonna say for whatever reason, but ultimately the scriptures, I always quote Romans 8:28 about no thing can work against the truth before the truth. So these different schisms, you got to understand these schisms. The elders speak on schisms. You got to think, so this is part of the truth, just like men falling out and whatnot. All I can say is this. I did a lesson about it yesterday about the oath, about you got, no matter what the Lord take you through, if you truly a believer, it doesn't matter how the Lord shakes up your faith, you're going to do it regardless. You're not in here because I can say this, let me rephrase it. I can say this about myself. I didn't come in here because another person showed me, or some brothers, or you know what I mean? Like, the Spirit moved us all in our own ways, but I can also say I know for a fact you have men that came in here because somebody else they knew came in this. I came in here homeless and knowing that the Lord is going to fuck me up if I, you know what I mean? So I was running from something and running from this world. So that's my 2 cents. So I agree. I don't know if the men are the truth or, because the thing is, the men said that for a reason because they felt that way. Now, I can say this. I can say this, it's a beautiful thing to be in the truth, and I've been helped by the brotherhood to the point, and the thing is, not being in the camp, I still send tithes, and that ain't nobody motherfucking business. But the fact of the matter is, that's how much I still believe. I'm not offended at what, this man also, you know what I mean? Like, and it's something that caught my attention because the elder brother I respect was like, a lot of excuses, which I respect that, and he was like, pretty much we not fucking with the affiliates. And I thought about that for a second and to figure out, damn, do I get offended by that or not? And I couldn't really, because the simple fact was, I remember at the time when the elders put out the decree for all the affiliates to come join onto the body. And for whatever reason, the Lord didn't allow that to happen. Now, the reason why I bring it up and why it's going to always be on my mind is because at the time when the elder put out that decree, I left the camp. Show you how funny my lot is. Well, my lot ain't funny at all, but it's again, I understand why Jake said what he said about he wouldn't want my lot. But now I wear it as a badge of honor. Like the elder brother made that statement about it's a privilege and an honor to go out and suffer for Yahweh Shema Shai through these elements. I can literally say that I've experienced something that the elder apostles have. Because the elders apostles literally said how they was in the elder quoted that scripture about Paul about I have learned to be a base and abound. You have Jake that's over here tripping over a job. Now, mind you, I understand. I'm a single parent with 3 children. I sleep on the fucking floor, and one Jake knew that. I go without so my children can have. But the thing is, I'm content. A person that wasn't content would go fucking crazy, and obviously that Jake ain't content. And it was 2 things that made sense to me. The elder said, "What you gonna do with that chip come?" Because what is a person like that gonna do? When you learn to really rely on the Lord, that's all you worried about. You're not really worried about this because if you lost everything, you know how it is to either get it back or go without that shit. That's why the scriptures talk about being content with thy daily bread. He said that, and then he said, what did he say? He said, what's gonna do when that chip come? And he said he wouldn't, at the end of this thing, we seeing where everything going, try to like put more, like take on something else. Because the thing is this, the Lord could be testing him. You trying to better yourself and then fall out the truth of that. Men have been taking out the truth over women, over their children, over being offended by something that a brother did. And that's crazy, is the craziest part of it all. Because again, if a brother do something that ain't scriptural, why would you get offended? Now, the Lord can do that to test your faith. And it's ultimately up to the Lord to forgive him or, judge him or whatever the case may be. It's too much going on for me to worry about he wronged me or, you know what I mean? Like, just like I don't say a lot of stuff because, again, I know how fragile a person's faith can be. That's how you seeing the might of our elders. Because just imagine how many people, they watched the whole movement go back into the world to a degree. And then watch the Heavenly Father, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, put new men in it. This gotta be the truth. You get what I'm saying? But I done made this about something else. That's the spirit. Long story short, the outlook of 2026 is they laying off more people when they laid off 1.2 million. You know, what the government deal was so slick, they gave them cheap-ass severance packages, but them jobs ain't coming back because every AI about to do everything. So if this is the forecast for 2026, and as well as the cover of the Economic or Economist magazine, what the fuck you think is coming? Doom and gloom, you know? This is the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39, verse 1, and it reads, But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of the ancient and be occupied in prophecy. And I went and looked up the word prophecy. I mean, occupied, bear with me. It says occupied of a building seat being used. The fuck, I was going first. The fuck is you talking about? There's a lot of demons out here too. That's spiritual. Because I had the right of way. Ain't that something? They said that's why, again, I don't even like driving like that because a brother that got road rage sometimes. Well, I can't say he had road rage. I've never seen him go crazy on the road. But he like a speed. He got that speed demon spirit on him. So, you know, I just automatically assume he had road rage. But road rage is when a motherfucker raging on the road. You know, a speed demon is a totally different spirit. But that shit just like what pissed me off. But we in the time, you might be in the right, and the motherfucker, just the other day, I ain't even gonna tell the testimony, but like literally, a motherfucker was dead wrong, and motherfucker, the Lord had to be with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, you gotta move. You know, the scriptures talk about be circumspect. The scriptures talk about live peaceable with all men. You know, agree with our adversary. All these different things. And as men, you know, the thing is this. We got the right to protect ourselves as men, but at the same time, you can lightweight avoid a lot of shit, how you deal with people. And I saw that with the elder from South Carolina. Because he was around a bunch of young YNs. I'll never forget that video. And he maneuvered through that situation so smoothly. So it's lucky I'm all over the place. I'll probably say various topics. But my 2 cents on that situation is this. I don't know if those men are men of the Lord or not. All I do know is this. I agree with the elder. I wouldn't have put on like took on something else like that. You know, scriptures talk about be satisfied with thy daily bread. You know what I mean? You know, so you know, as long as that's how I look at it. Now again, I understand inflation kicking brothers in the ass, and you know, every brother that might not help you. You get what I'm saying? You know. It is a such thing as some brothers is cooler with other brothers than others. And I heard 2 different evaluations of that. I never looked at it that way. If I gave something to one brother that I fuck with more, I also gave it to a brother that barely spoke to me. I had a brother sitting up there making fun of me. And this little, to show you how goofy these little boys was, not to even put the business out there, but I found it funny because you up here lying on your ride, making it seem like y'all doing more than what the fuck y'all doing, but you laughing at me. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, do you know how many women, we done did shit to women that you would call me a piece of shit? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not proud. It's a reason why I got 3 daughters. Don't you get that? That's the Lord paying me back. But anyhow, Salakia. My 2 cents is, no, I wouldn't have did that either. You know what I mean? Like, we too close to the end. Silver has never been this high in history. And again, in other places, it's higher. So it's a lot of people. I watched this one economist named Johnny Bravo. He said pretty much people are lining up at Costco buying silver and gold. And why do you think that is? Because people are sheeple. So just like people was buying toilet paper because they saw other people doing it, people that can afford to buy this shit is going, and that's all that's going to do is pretty much fuck up the economy more. They're controlling this. But you can't control certain things. That's the whole point. Because I did a lesson about, you know, the scriptures say if you vow oath to the Most High, keep the oath. You know, you can't keep how, brother, you can't control too many things. You can't control how people treat you, what happens to you in your day. Only thing you can control is how you react to the situation. And I know it's not, you know, we as so-called black men, or, well, I ain't gonna say so-called, we as, you know, the tribes, we get catch the most hell here. So, you know, your day, you are literally barely making home where you almost lost your life. Last week, I almost lost my life. You get what I'm saying? Well, it wasn't even last week. It was like maybe like 3 weeks ago. And the thing was, I wasn't even scared. I thought about the work and my children. And to the point, you know, like I heard the elder brother say, sometimes I don't give a fuck. You know, but what was tough about that? And I literally watched the Lord literally do something spiritual too. Like, I mean, like to the point where, you know, because I'm thinking we about to, like, it's 3 motherfuckers in the car. I'm thinking it's about to be some physical shit. This nigga he up Bronco, like, you know, he got the ooh-wop, like, and I'm like, oh, this, see, but the thing is this, I'm glad I got this truth because, like I told somebody, you know, I said, the Lord really just tested me, but I watched the Lord be there, you know, in the midst of it, and just be, you got to be certain. That's just showing you how serious everything is. You know, some people say something, the Lord will test you right after you just said that. Test you, oh, I love the Lord. Like he did Peter. Peter said, oh yeah, I die for the Lord, does that. And then Peter denied him. You got to be careful what you say, especially now. Like I heard the elder make mention of that now. Right now is not the time to be puffed up. It's actually to humble yourself, because the Lord about to come with the great humbling. So to be occupied in is to be doing or being used by Yahweh Shem Yahshua. For to take off that much time, and don't get me wrong, I go without making videos every day sometimes. You know, but when you got people that don't got the responsibilities of certain, I try to do, I might not do 7 videos every day, but I try to have 7 videos within a week. I try that much. You know, and of course, you know, as long as you really, you know, the mindset is as long as you're really doing something for the Lord. That's why, you know, you hear certain, you know, because you can't say what another man walk is. But you should, by doing that many videos, doing a multitude of videos keeps you in the spirit. So I understand why the elder pushes that spirit. And the reason why I respect it so much is because he not just telling you to do it and then go sit on his ass. The elder doing more videos than anybody I can think of. Well, the elder in Dallas do a lot too. I don't even know if I'm bringing any of this out, because again, this is the 3rd time the spirit has switched up. Certain things I guess the Lord didn't want to be heard. But it says why it matters. In recent months, some of America's largest employers spanning several sectors announced they will trim head counts against a background of technological changes. And bro, they letting you it be known, like, because of this AI, they don't need you. It says because of technological changes and broader economic headwinds. So meaning they gonna need less people to do the work, but it's gonna be harder to survive. So we in a recession. Elon Musk just said it. And the thing is this, unless you got a particular niche, you know, like unless you do some certain type of shit, you know, them jobs, like if you work with your hands, most of them jobs gonna be secure. Trust me. But at the same time, maybe not. It says this has compounded the threat facing U.S. workers, with hiring still slow and the unemployment rate ticking up to its highest level since 2021 in the Department of Labor's November jobs reading. And, you know, we all saw the Economist magazine where the AI, you know, I think it was protests on there. Like I said, if the Lord dealing with you an inkling, you should see where this shit going, because everything that's on that cover is literally being manifested right before our eyes. I don't want to name the companies, but I know FedEx, General Motors. I had another list. So they're not even giving. Well, they did give you some numbers, but they just named two companies that are huge companies. But it's way more companies than that. Trust and believe. Now they want probably down 5%. 6. So I'm gonna try to shoot these scriptures out, because at the end of the day, the Lord is taking away the mirth of this place because it's judgment. And one of the judgment is you're not gonna be able to provide for yourself. The Lord is gonna take away these jobs. I'm gonna get that. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 19. This thing just keep on just losing energy. 19 and verse 1. And it reads, the burden of Egypt, or the prophecy. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it now. And the Lord is being uplifted at this time right now. So, these idols that these people trust and believe in are being made low. Christianity, these false religions. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. When this guy, DJ Trump, came into office, that spirit of this place failing came into office, along with his buddies. And then he's partnering in a slap in your face in mockery, like he did the AI video. He's partnering all these mega millionaires and billionaires and shit. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail. We watching the fail right now. In the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over to the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king, DJ Trump, shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the Lord of hosts. Skipping down to verse 14, and it reads, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua have mingled a perverse spirit. Look how perverse this place is. You got a man that want to be with a man and a woman be with a woman. I was just watching The Last of Us, and they don't show you that in the game, which is cool. But in the show, they showing you all this homosexual shit, which is demonic. Now, they get some money, because I noticed something. The pattern, they'll release the game, and then they make an episode on HBO of the series of the season. But it's just getting worse and worse. Like, worse and worse. Like, first you got the girl liking girls, now you got two men. Now she got it. Like, this shit is off, man. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. You ever seen somebody that's drunk to the point they can't even, they groping in darkness. They can't see where they're going. And what typically happens to a person that's overly intoxicated or drunk? Some kind of judgment. Verse 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or brush, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Verse 16, and that day shall Egypt be like unto women, weak, and then shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua of hosts, which he shaketh over it, which we pretty much prophesied through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the downfall of this place. So the Lord is, when the person cussing your ass out, when a person talking with their hands, that's what the Lord doing through us right now. What's that? Luke chapter 1 and verse 70? How he uses servants, the prophets, since the beginning of the earth. Now the Lord bringing forth these judgments, these earthquakes, these different calamities that's taking place on the planet. But his mouthpiece is the prophets. I got two more last scriptures. So this is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. And it says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. The Lord wants you serving him when he opened you up to this truth. He wants you serving him as a young man, a young vessel. Now the thing is like the Matrix, everybody doesn't wake up to the truth at the same time. I've met young men in this truth. And like I said, I made a statement earlier, and I think I had to restart it. I often think about the younger brothers, because you got younger brothers like me as an older brother. Like I'm about to be 5 decades. You get what I'm saying? I'm close to 5 decades, put it like that. So I've got to do a lot of folly here. And then you watch Jake, and the world is set up in folly in order to progress in Babylon the Great. You got to do a lot of folly. And the world, the scriptures say, follow not a multitude to do wickedness or folly, So, but this whole foundation of this place is laid in folly. So, you see Jake, they get caught up in certain wrong things sometimes. Even if it's expedient, the scriptures tell you, even though it's expedient, it's not lawful. Because certain things you might be lawful to do, but you can't do in another man's kingdom. Just because who you is as a person, or who you go back to as a people. Verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, which you still got this wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual understanding, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. The keepers are the economists, and they trembling because they don't see no hope. Again, I listen to a lot of economists, and they all were pretty much nervous. It's one that I listen to, and you could tell he juiced in, so he like controlled opposition. That's Project Zypher shit. And I've seen, it be looking like he be throwing up hand signs and all kind of shit. I just made mention of him. But you got the elites. What's that? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. They don't believe it's gonna come to pass, but they ain't all wondering, is it gonna come to pass? But they watching it come to pass. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. Grinders represent the employment, it's jobs. Which again, this is looking dreary. It's already been a bad year for jobs in the economy, and now they talking about beginning of the new year they're cutting off shit. Call Loyam Ladia, how about Shemal Shop? And the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened because they don't see no hope in this place. Verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinder is low, meaning less jobs again. What they got that ghost jobs in order to promote their job. They make it seem like they hiring, but they're not really hiring. And I can attest to that. Now that's not always the case, because I got a call back from a certain job platform, but I can see that being true. But yeah, out of all the places I applied, to get a call back to one. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grind is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, those that get up early for them jobs, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, which we all can agree that the music is at an all-time worst, worst in history. So, the scriptures tell you, Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 24 and 4, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. So, these people taking the ass whooping. And they're going to continue to do so until the Lord return. Now, don't get me wrong, you're going to have some people that's going to literally, the wicked going to do wickedly. That's in the book of Revelations. But is it in the book of Revelations? It's either in the Revelations or it's in Daniel. But with that being said, those that are of the upright, those that are of the hopeful elect, we just content on getting our daily bread. And it's going to get hard for us. There's different things that just took place, especially being that I'm by myself, to the point, I told the brother, I said, the Lord, he said, how you been? I said, the Lord take care of me. That don't mean the Lord don't take me through shit. But, that mindset of, relying on the Lord got to really intensify. So my whole 2 cents to it is this. I read Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 1, be occupied in prophecy. This man occupied in the world trying to get a job. And, don't get me wrong, we got to work. The scriptures say who don't work, who don't eat. But I know for a fact, the men that I was around, the one elder brother said that. He said, you never know, we all might be standing with each other. So I don't think, that brother's going to leave brother's ass out. I'm not saying that no man hasn't done that either. I know the horror, I ain't going to say I know the horror stories. I know some horror stories. And I'm glad I didn't get to experience some of the horror stories that the elder brothers experienced, because that was a testimony to their faith. They had to be allowed to see that, to actually, when the Lord try your spirit, he rewards you by giving you faith and giving you other spiritual gifts. The elder has said this a multitude of times. How many people paid attention to it? They watch. The elder always say he basically was over like 40, 50 men. He said only two men remain, and that's Nate. And you can't even say he's really in the truth. You say it because he lets you know he's Israel and whatnot, but he a demon. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm going to say it just because the simple fact is I can see for what it is. Now, the thing is, the Lord can use a person for a demon, and then the Lord can actually heal that spirit. You know, it was something that was said, and I didn't catch on to it to the end. You know, like the one dude, the one prophet that was the no-name prophet that helped the prophet and then hurt the prophet. To the point where he didn't even, you can see he was a vessel, because what did he ask for? He said, bury me where you buried the prophet at. It's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. So my advice is, the scriptures talk about vow and vows. You know, again, these fallouts, these schisms, these divisions, that the Lord don't care about none of that. The elder brother said all these fucking excuses, and he's right. Because at the end of the day, even if men don't agree, I may mention this in one of the other videos, you know, Barnabas and Paul split up, it's going to be divisions. The scriptures tell you that the Lord causes the division. But is you still going to do your part? Is you going to still seek out your salvation? And, you know, again, I pray that the Lord never take the spirit away. You know, the elder said something that I respect highly as well. He said, if everybody was to fall out the truth, he'll do it by himself. Jake need to understand what they're a part of. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power. Your true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Allah Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakah. I want to say double honors to the elders and to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Akwat, to the listening and learning, Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth to you. We'll say shalom till next time, Lord willingly. Shalom, shalom. Kwame Yasharala and Mawakla Babor.